Deploying IPAM. IPAM means IP address management. Now we can deploy it. How we can deploy? We can deploy the IPAM by installing the IPAM server feature from the Server 2016 server manager. Then after installing it, it will connect to the server. Then what we can do? We can then provision the server, discover the servers available in our domain. Servers like DNS server, DHCP servers, domain controllers, network policy servers, and then we can choose them to manage. We can manage them from IPAM. So we have installed this IPAM server feature here under this server 2, and it is connected here. After connecting it, after installing the feature, you see the server is connected. Then you have to do the provisioning, you have to configure it, and then after that you have to select the domain which you want to discover the servers. After configuring this, then you will start the discovery. It will discover all the available servers you have in the domain. Available servers like DNS, DHCP. When you select this to discover, it says what you want to discover. You want to discover domain controller, DHCP or DNS. Then you want to select which domain or which forest, in the forest which domain you want. After selecting that, you will start the discovery. It will discover the available servers, and then what we select them to do the management. Like you want to configure them to manage from here, or you don't want to manage it from here. So when you select this, it will take you to this server inventory, and here you will see all the servers which is connected, all the servers which is discovered. Right now it is showing server 2 and server 3. Server 2 is having server 1 is having DNS and domain controller services, and server 3 we have a DHCP on that. Now when it detects, it is it is unspecified about management. So you have to configure whether you want to manage the server from here, IPAM, from IPAM, or you don't want to manage it from here. Like you will right click on it and you will select this manageability status. It will detect that this is the name of the server, this is the domain, this is the IP address, and the server has these DHCP, this DNS and domain controller services. Now here you will select what by default it is unspecified, but if you want, by default it looks like this, unspecified. It will look like this. So you have to make sure that you want to specify what you want to do with this. You want to manage it from here, or you just don't want to manage it from here. So you want to manage it from IPAM, then you will select this and then press OK. And it will show here that this is managed now. Here it is manageability status is managed. IPAM access status is unblocked. That means IPAM can easily access this server. Now we want to make sure in these servers, server 1 or server 3, we have to configure lots of different settings to make these servers available in IPAM. We can do that manually, or we can choose to do that by using the group policy. So we can use it. Group policy is the easy way that you can configure the group policy by running the command from the IPAM server, so that it will create a group policy regarding these DHCP, DNS and other domain controller services, so that it can manage from here from IPAM server. So we have created the group policy, and this group policy must be updated on all the servers which you want to manage from IPAM. Otherwise they will not detect here. It will say cross symbol, it will say error here until the group policy will be updated. So if you are using a group policy, then you have to update the group policy on all these servers, for example server 1, server 3. Otherwise it will do what? You have to manage it, you have to configure it manually. Now after you have decided to select the manage or unmanaged server, you have to do what? You have to right click on it, and then you have the other options here. You can delete these servers from here, or you can check the refresh. You can refresh the access status also. If suppose you have selected to manage but still it is not showing manage, then you can do what? You can refresh the server access status. it will refresh the status of the server, access status, and then you can see whether you are having an option to manage or unmanage, or is it a block or unblock. It is updated. After that you have to refresh the view, and then you will see that it is managed, available, managed or not. After you selected the status of this server, then you will do what? You will select retrieve the all server data, and this will do what? It will retrieve the data from the server. Like if it is a DNS server, then it will retrieve the data information about the DNS, or it is a DHCP server, then it will retrieve the data of the DHCP servers. So you select this and it will start retrieving the data from that server. It shows here there is a task running here, and when the task is completed, then it will show you here in this notification that the task is completed. It will take a little time, and now it is discovered here. It is completed. You can close, you can cancel this one, then you can go for other server to retrieve the data. Now this server is also done. Now we can manage these servers. Now what we can manage from the IPAM? So IPAM, we can manage the servers available. We can manage DHCP, DNS from here. We have selected to manage from here. Then also we can manage the different address spaces. Address spaces like the address blocks, address inventory and address range group we have. Under the address block we can configure, or it will take the information from DHCP also, that what blocks are available or what blocks are configured to allow to distribute from DHCP server, or you have statically configured some IP addresses block. So you can create here the range of the blocks, the range of the IP addresses, or the range of the DHCP also shows here. It is showing here that this is the range which is given to the global DHCP to allocate these IP addresses range. It is assignment is dynamic, so you can decide assignments also. So by this we can do what? We can take care of all the IP addresses configuration from here, like what IP addresses we have assigned from DHCP, what IP addresses we have assigned from the statically. We can check the ranges, we can check the IP addresses, we can check the blocks of IP addresses, we can check the subnets. Right now we have one subnet allocated from the DHCP server. So these are the IP addresses inventory, IP addresses groups also. These are the groups. Then we have virtualized IP addresses spaces also. Then here we have monitoring option. Monitoring option about the monitoring and managing. Monitoring about DNS and DHCP server, DHCP scopes, DNS zones and server groups. Under this DNS and DHCP, we will see all the servers which is DNS or DHCP. So this is two servers we have. Server 1 is a DNS server and server 3 is a DHCP server. Then we will see the scopes of DHCP servers if we have. So on server 3 we have a DHCP active, and this is the scope we have on server 3 and it is running here. This is one scope, it is there on the server 3, and this is the name of the scope, Psi1. We can verify this from server 3 also. Now when you select this and go down, you will see the detailed information about that scope. Scope properties, scope options, effective policies if we have created, and event also, event logs also. In down there you can see what we have on DHCP server. We have IPv4 addresses, IPv6 addresses, we can go like this. We can see the public IP addresses, private IP addresses. This is the private IP addresses. If we configure the public IP addresses, then also it will show there. And same as for IPv6 also. if we have configured IPv6. Then for DNS, when you select DNS, you will see the DNS zones here. There are two zones there, domain zone and the domain zone site.com, and it is the zone information. And when you go down, you can see the information about the zone. This is the zone property, and this is the authoritative server, which is server 1. And here, when you select here in this side, you will see the forward zone, and also you will see reverse lookup zone for IPv4, IPv6. Now when you select forward zone, so it shows here that these are the zones we have. Then server groups, that means if we have multiple servers there, then we can create the groups of multiple servers. Now how to manage DNS by using IPM? So you can perform these following management tasks for DNS from the IPM server. We can view the DNS servers and zones. Then we can create new zones. We can open the DNS console for any server that IPM manages. Then we can create DNS records. We can manage the conditional forwardings also. These all we can do by using the IPM. We can do that by using IPM, and for doing that, what we have to do, we have to go to this DNS and DHCP tab, and here you will see all the servers which is DNS or DHCP, or you can filter what you want to see, only DNS or only DHCP. Then select your DNS server which you want to manage from here, and you will right click on it and you will get these options. So you can launch the MMC console. That means you can launch the console, the DNS management console, so that you can manage it from there, or you can manage it from directly from here IPM. So you can select to create the zone. You can select to create the conditional forwarding. So then also you can set the access scope. Now this is, I will show you what it is. It is actually setting the access for the IPM administrator. That means we can create multiple accounts and give them a right to manage the IPM, manage the servers from IPM, and we can give the scope access to some particular users. Then this option for retrieving the server data we have. So if you want to create the zone, then you will select the zone, select the create DNS zone from it, and it will give you the option to create the zone like this, where you have to fill the information about creating the zone, and then you can press OK, and it will create the new zone for you. Okay, so for example, I want to create new zone, so I will select here these DNS and DHCP server. It shows all the DNS and DHCP servers we have. We can filter it to get only DNS servers, or we want to see only DHCP servers, or we want to get all both DNS server and DHCP server both. Now I want to create here, this is my DNS server. It has only one two zones. I want to create more zones. There is two zones available here. This one is for the domain, it is already there, and this is for the this is domain site.com zones are there, these two zones. I want to create one more zone, so I can create it by selecting this DNS server and right clicking on it. Now on right clicking, you can get the option to launch the MMC console, management console. So when you click on it, it will open the management console here. Like this is the DNS management console, and from here you can see the zones, and you can manage what you want to manage, or you can create new zone also. Or we can create new zone by directly right clicking on it and then selecting to create new zone, or we can select to create the forwarders also. Forwarders related to another domain. So if suppose you want to resolve the other domains queries, then we can create the conditional forwarders. Like we say, if any query comes for that particular domain, then it will be forwarded to the DNS server of that domain. So when you select this, it will show you option that you give the domain name, and then you will mention the IP address of that domain DNS server. So whenever any query comes for this domain, then it will forward it to this other domain's DNS server. Now we want to create the zone. So what we will do here, we will right click on it. So I will right click on it and select create zone, DNS zone, and it opens this. Now from here I can select to create what, forward zone or reverse zone. I want to create forward zone or reverse zone for IPv4 or reverse zone for IPv6. Then I want to create primary zone, secondary zone or stub zone. I can select to create. I want to create primary zone. Then it will say what is your zone name. This zone is for vivo.com. Then it says what you want to do with the zone. This is the zone properties, like you want to store the zone into Active Directory, so you can select this, or you can store the zone information into zone file. So when you select zone file, it shows the zone file information, and also it shows that whether you want to have a update, how you want to have an update. Dynamic secure, it is not supported because it is what, normal zone, it is not Active Directory integrated zone. And if we select to create the Active Directory integrated zone, then we can select to have a dynamic and secure and dynamic update. Now here it says which scope you want to, the replication scope you want, domain, forest, legacy or custom. That means you want to replicate the zone into all domains in the domain control, all domain controllers in the domain, all domain controllers in the forest, or also you want to choose the 2000 style, or you can go for custom and different partition. Here we don't have a different partition, so we can go on to select the domain, and it is going to replicate on all the domains. Then here you will see the summary. We can go on to select separately also general options, advanced options and summary after configuring. Now after doing this, we can go on to select OK, and then it will do what? It will create the zone. And now under the DNS zones, we can see there is one zone created. There is no data, it is showing there is no data. So I will right click here, we can say add DNS records, we can configure the preferred DNS server, we can reset the zone status, we can edit the zone, we can delete the zone. Like first I will configure to reset the zone status. It is still updating. Okay, it is now saying unknown duration, current size. Okay, now we can add the records also, like whatever the record we want to add. So we can add the records here also in the zone. So resources record, a record, pointer record, whatever the record you want. So this is our zone. This is the server which is handling the zone. And then what, we can create the new record. So we can create it by selecting the new. And when you select new, it says which record you want to create. So let's say I want to create new A record. Then when you say A record, so it says what is the name. So I'll say server 2, and server 2, then fully qualified domain name will be server2.vivo.com. So this is fully qualified name for the server 2. Then you have to mention the IP address. Then you can create the pointer record also with this zone, this forward A record. So if the reverse zone is also created, then you can create the related pointer record also in the reverse zone. Then you can select allow any authenticated user to update the DNS records with the same owner name. The setting applies only to secure updates. So we can select this feature also. We can enable the time to leave also, aging feature. So after that it will remove the records caching. It will remove the record. This is the time to leave feature you can add. So this is what the record we selected. Then we can do what? Add it. Now it is added here. So we have added this A record with this name. So we can, if we want, then we can add more records here. And then after, when you finish adding all the records, then we can go on to select OK, and it is now created. So the zone we have created, also we have created the records. If you want to see those records, then we will go on to select what zone you want to see the records. So suppose forward zone we have created. So I will select this here, and these are the zones we have. So you want to see this size.com, or you want to see the vivo.com. Let's say I want to see the vivo.com, which I have created. I click on it. So it shows here about the zone, that this is the property of zone, this is the zone. It is this is integrated with Active Directory. This is a server which is handling the zone. Now we want to see the records, then we can go on to select here and say I want to see the resources records. So it shows all the resources records. By default, when you create a zone, it creates these two records, SOA and NS record, and this is the record which we have created right now, server 2, which is having this IP address. Statically we have created this. So this is how we can do what? We can manage the DNS server. Then if we want to manage the DHCP server, then what? Same we can do what? We can manage the DHCP server. That means what we can do? We can create these scopes. We can create DHCP scopes. Right now we have only one scope here available, this SAI1. Now we can verify it from DNS also and DHCP also. This is our DNS server, and I have created a new scope here, a new zone here. So when I go here in server 1, I can see that zone here which I have created from IPAM. Same as when you create any scope from IPAM for the DHCP, it will also show in the DHCP. This is our DHCP server. Right now we have only one scope there under this DHCP on this server 3, and that is this scope. The scope name is SAI1. Now if we want to create new scope, then it will create here under this, and we will create it from the IPAM server. So on the IPAM server we can see this is the scope, it is already there. I want to create new scope, so again I will go on to select DNS DHCP here, and I will select the DHCP server and press right click on it. Now what I can do from here, I can edit the DHCP server properties, I can edit the options, create the scope, configure the predefined scope options. We can configure the DHCP user classes, policies, and we can import also. We can use the DHCP MAC address filtering also, and also directly we can launch the MMC, so that we can directly configure it from the management console. We can deactivate the policies, we can replicate the servers, also we can retrieve the data. So we want to create the scope, so I will select to create the scope here, and it opens this wizard here. Now here first you have to mention the name. Now you want, then you can go by one also, like for general option first. I want to mention the scope name. This is SAI2. We can add the description also, like this is created from IPAM server. Then we have to mention the start IP address, the scope range we want to mention. We have to mention, let's say I will say this is the scope range starting from 1, and it is going to end on this. Then you have to mention the net mask. Then you have to mention what is the limit for the lease time, or you want to give it to unlimited range, unlimited lease time. Then here you can decide the exclusion. If you want to exclude any IP addresses from here, from this range, like I want to exclude the IP addresses from this 1 to 10, I want to exclude these IP addresses. Then activate the scope on creation, yes or no, that just you want to activate it or not. Like when you press OK, then the scope will be activated. Then you have to configure these options. You want to have a dynamic update for the DNS, you have to enable the name protection option, you want to enable dynamic updates or not if requested by DHCP server, you want to discard the DNS record when lease is deleted, and they dynamically update DNS record for the DHCP client that do not request update, and then disable dynamic update for DNS PTR records. So these are the options related to DNS which we can set yes or no. And then other options, we can add more options here, like we can add the scope options here. Like for example, the class vendor DHCP standard options we can use for the default user class, options of offset timeout. We can add more. We can add more options, like we want to add router address. So this was there already. I have added the router address also. Then you can add DNS address and domain name and all the other options you can add. Then in advance you have other options like assign IP address dynamically to client of DHCP or boot P or both. Then this is the lease time, subnet delay also, and it shows here a summary after creating. So when you apply this, you can see the summary here, that what you have done, you have created the scope and these are the options of the scope. Now after that you can press OK to create it. Now when we check the DHCP scopes here, so we have created these new scope site 2. Also if we want, then we can edit the scope, duplicate the scope, create reservation for the scope, we can add super scope, configure the failover, we can also configure policy, import policy. We can do all these things from here, and we can let's check it from the DHCP server that the scope is created or not. So we'll go to the DHCP server, and this is our DHCP server. Now when I refresh this server here, I can see the scope is also there now. This new scope is also created, site 2, with the address pool of this, with the exclusion of these IP addresses. Right now it has not leased anything or any other. We have mentioned the options also, like router address here. So this is how we can manage the DHCP server also from the IPAM. You can see the description here for this scope. It says created from IPAM. So this is the description I have given from there. Then managing IP addresses spaces by using IPAM. So what we can do, we can use using IPAM to manage the IP addressing also. You can view and manage an IP addresses spaces by using the following views, like IP block addresses, IP addresses range addresses, IP address inventories, IP addresses range of groups, and you can monitor the IP address spaces by using the following views, like DNS and DHCP server, scopes, zones, and server groups. Then addresses, adding addresses spaces to IPAM. You can add address spaces to IPAM to provide comprehensive management of IP addressing. That means we can add the spaces there that which addresses are we have given statically, which addresses we have given manually also. So we can add those also manually. Then also if we want, then we can add the information for the IP addresses directly. We can import it from the CSV file also, that these addresses we have allocated statically, what are the ranges of these addresses, what are the blocks we have, what are the subnetted we have, and the mandatory fields for the importing files. If you want to import this as a CSV file, then you have to add that. We have to create the CSV file with this mandatory fields. So in the CSV file you have to have a field like IP addresses managed by services, and the services which is managing the IP addresses, either DSCP or something else. The services instance and device type, and then IP addresses is state, assigned or not assigned, and assignment type, dynamic or static. Then IP addresses range, network start IP addresses and IP addresses managed by services, service instance and assignment type. Or we can go for IP addresses block, network start IP address and IP address and RIR. So these information we have to mention in the CSV file. If you want to import it from the CSV file, imported information about the IP addresses. Now finding, allocating and reclaiming IP addresses, you can use IPAM to find, allocate and reclaim an IP addresses if the IP addresses does not exist in IPAM, so you can create it. Then if the IP addresses is not reserved in the range, then also you can do this. You can allocate, you can find, you can allocate, you can reclaim, and the IP addresses does not respond to a ping request, and then also the DNS pointer resources is not found for the IP addresses. Now maintaining IP addresses inventory in IPAM. You can use the following IPAM pages to access the maintain IP addresses inventory. We can use it the IP address blocks using the IP address view, or we can go for IP address inventory also. And for monitoring and reporting an IPAM, with IPAM you can do what? Monitor the IP addresses spaces utilizations. Then we can monitor DNS and DSCP health also. We can configure many DSCP properties and values from the IPAM console. Use the event catalog to view a centralized repository for all configuration changes also. So this is what IP addresses blocks here. It shows that which blocks are assigned. These blocks are assigned already from DSCP server. We can see by subnet, we can see by range. Like these are the ranges we have allocated, and both are from DSCP server. Then we have blocks, we have subnets. So these two subnets are there. We can go on to select IP address inventory. Here also we can see, and also we can add the IP addresses or import the IP addresses. Now importing from the CSV file, or we want, then we can create the IP addresses. Let's say for example I want to add, these are the IP addresses allocated from the DSCP. Now I have used static IP addresses also. I have configured static IP addresses also, and I want to see that, or I want to add the information here that which IP addresses I have given statically. So I can go on to create IP address block, subnet or range, whatever I want. Like for example I want to create as a block. So I can create it as a block. You have to mention the network ID, prefix length, automatically assign addresses, yes or no. That means is it automatically assigned or is it locally assigned, statically assigned. So you can mention here. Then you have to mention the start IP address, end IP address. Then you have to mention the registers, RIR, that is regional internet registers for the public IP addresses, receive date, description and last assignment date, and who is the owner. So you will know that who and what we have done here, what we have created here. Let's, for example, I have used this range here, and this is the prefix, or let's say I will say this is the prefix. It is not automatically assigned. I have used the statically assigned, and start and end IP address, it is chosen from this prefix length. Then what RIR, what registers I have given this IP address, what was the date of getting the IP address. You can add the description, and what was the last assignment date. Then who is the owner. I have created the block, so I can see the block here which I have created here. So I know that what I have done, what these static IP addresses also I have given to someone, and I can track them. Then we can reclaim also, like reclaim also, that means if DHCP server has some IP addresses, then we can reclaim the IP addresses also if it is not available used in that IP addresses and in DHCP. Like for example, this is DHCP range. So when I right click here, it says you want to reclaim the IP addresses from the DHCP. So you can select this to, it will say which IP address you want to reclaim. It says what is the IP address, start IP address, and IP address, and then it will try to reclaim it. But right now it is used by the DHCP, so I will not do that reclaiming. Now here you have the event logs where you can monitor the events of related servers. You can select here. You want to manage, see the events related to the IPAM. You want to see the event related to the DHCP. You want to see the related to the IP address tracking. You can see the by IP addresses event. You can see by the client ID. You can see by the host or username. Then we can create the access control also. This access control will do what? It will give the access to different users for managing this IPAM server. These access controls are for managing or administrating the IPAM server. You can implement the role-based management in IPAM by using these role-based security groups or access scope or access policies. So first you will create user or group based on the role, what they want to do. Then you can assign the access to the scopes and all the and also the policy that what the users and groups can do. So you can give different users a different right to do something on the IPAM server. This IPAM includes several built-in rules, and you can also create and configure custom rules also. These are the built-in groups we have. These are the IPAM has several built-in role-based security groups that you can use for managing your IPAM infrastructure. Like for example, if I want to give some user to give a right to manage DNS servers from IPAM, then I will add that user into this IPAM DNS administrator group. I can add them into MSM group, I can add them into DHCP group to manage only the DHCP, to manage only the reservation also, to manage only the scope also, DNS records also. Not only DNS administrator will manage everything on the DNS, and if DNS record can do, administrator can do manage only the DNS records. So we can do also this, and that access control we can do from this account access control option here. These are the groups we have, and if we want, then we can select here to create new user role. You can create new user role by name, and then you can give give option what they can do. It is a detailed information here that what the user can do. We can add from here, like DNS user, and I will give the right to manage the DNS zone, create forward lookup zone, delete zone, modify zone, or set the access scope to the zone. I'm giving only this rights. So this is what I have created here. Then we can edit the role also. This is a group which I have created. Now I can create the role access scope also, and also the policies. That is default one. We can add new access scope also, and also we can create the policy also. That how and what those user can do. What their user can do, these are the access settings. This is what we have created. And on those zones, we can right click and set the access scope. And from here we can select what access scope we created. Right now we have not created, but when we create, then it will show here. So by this we can manage the access also, access control on the IPM server for the users or groups who can do what? Manage and access this IPM server. So this is IPM server, and we can do what? We can do manage multiple DNS and DHCP server and also static IP addresses which we have configured. So we can manage everything from this centralized IPAM server, which is IP address management server.